So this one was on every list. Pony by Genuine. There are just few songs that are as like panty wetting than
Yeah.
Pony by Genuine. That is just a winner. Slave for You by Britney Spears,
There you
which
go.
Riley is die hard. All of y'all, if you don't know, now
It's
you
on my
know, and
list.
you better remember.
Welcome back to Muse on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us on an awesome episode at Muse on the Mic. We've got a bit of a party episode today. I'm super excited for this one. Riley, what are we doing? Let's tell everybody.
It's a cool topic. It's a light topic, but we found it really interesting. We're going to read a tweet from Miss Audrey Arrow that she started a conversation about music and sex work and kind of music's contribution to the sex work culture.
And vice versa, right?
Mhm.
Like, have
Yeah.
we contributed to them? And
Mhm.
I thought, what a cool twist on like could be a pretty boring thing otherwise, right? Or something that maybe the customer isn't always thinking about, or a sex worker might curate. Like, so there's
Yeah.
just so much dynamic to it. And then if that's made effect on like artists and shit, that's really cool.
Mhm.
So I'm super excited. I'm gonna start off reading her tweet, and then I know between the two of us, we've got songs that come to mind. We've got
Mhm.
demographics and info. We've got all kinds of cool shit to talk about on this, which has blown up into quite the conversation. Like, I'm so
Mhm.
excited. So she says, I wonder if musicians who are on every sex worker session playlist know their contribution to sex work culture. Do they think about how many hotties got their rent paid to their tunes playing in the background? That's so sexy. It's freaking hot. Get a boner if I was a musician just hearing that. I hope they think of us sometime when they're recording in the studio too. He he he. And I thought, first of all, cheeky little broad. I love it.
I mean,
But like, yeah, do they know? Do they know?
yeah.
They should
Well,
know.
they do know because music provokes feelings, it sets moods, whether that's a good breakup song or let's get it on kind of song. Like it
Right.
definitely is the vibe for whatever you're into in the moment. And I think sex workers probably strategically pick their playlist or the mood for their session. And that may vary from person to person, right?
You know what? It's one of those, as I was hearing you say it, I almost want to be like, that's one of those like unknown green flags when picking a sex worker. Is if you've gotten to the point where you're either picky about the music you're listening to, you're making your own like playlists, you're selecting things or bringing it with you if you're doing out call, you've gotten to the point where you're refining the details of your craft so much, you care. That girl gives a shit.
Hmm.
And we always say give a shit is what makes that is the X factor in this
Yeah.
business, however that may play out. But that to me is totally an X factor, green flag. This girl
Yeah.
really cares. And when we got talking about this a little bit, it can also be a secret language in some respects. It can be cues to other workers.
Hmm.
A DJ can use it as a cue for like the end of the night's coming up. Like there's
Right.
a lot of nuances to that,
Mhm.
even in a playlist.
Yeah. Well, and what I was just saying to you before we started recording, I think it's used. I mean, listen, like you said, a green flag for sex workers, because you could just throw on the radio. Everyone wants some background noise,
Yeah.
something. But if you're actually not only caring about what you're listening to, the mood you're setting, I think girls also use it as a timer because at least in our
Mhm.
world, when we're dealing with a 30-minute session, for example, that's roughly 6 songs. And
Right.
especially in our era, like back, years ago, there was a lot of CDs being played. They weren't necessarily
Right.
playlists. And so if you start the CD at the same spot, you kind of knew, this is where I'm massaging him. This is where I'm getting into the body slide. Now I'm going to do,
Right.
you'd almost time it out to the song. And it really gave them a roadmap of their timing without having to check the clock all the time. So I think that's a tool they use as well.
It's funny because it always brings back memories of my career.
Mhm.
And there was a time where my boss at one point got mad at all of us and took all the clocks away. And so timing by music was all we had, or
Right.
instinct. And definitely there was definitely some of us that could do it off like I know what the average of a session is.
Mhm.
But the song usage was like almost perfect. Like within
Yeah.
3 minutes of when the time is up, there's that track playing and you know it's
Yeah.
time to shower up or something. And yet hoping it's a good playlist,
Hmm.
hoping there's like a build of like intensity or chemistry or volume or something. I just think it's such a cool tool that can have
Hmm.
so many different things. And like I was saying before, like even like room to room or girls across a club or something like that, there's got to be a way, a certain song might mean law enforcement has arrived. A
Right.
certain song could mean there's danger, stay where you are. Like you could use it for so many cues. Same
Hmm.
thing, we're closing up in an hour. Finish up what you're doing, shoppers. Like
Right.
it can be used for so many things without an obnoxious announcement or a knock on
Hmm.
the door or some other way of kind of interruptively communicating with each other. And gosh, a sexy music song too could be like, that's a
Hmm.
fun tool.
And some of those songs, so I was trying to like go back in my own memory, but also Google a bit. And the first one that came to mind, because I'm thinking, do these artists know what they're creating as they do it? Because if
Mm.
I think back to history, or what would be an oldie to me, would be Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. And no, I mean, I really have to wonder, whatever year Marvin put that song out, was there a baby boom a year later? Like I'm convinced there was. Like people just wanted to fuck to this song. Let's be real.
Like all of 90s R&B are like R&B
Right.
too, right? Like the amount of us and our offspring that were made during certain eras of music
Hmm.
coincides with other things. There's a lot of babies made during the pandemic. There's a lot of
Yeah.
babies made during the big blackout. Like there are
Mm.
certain like events that happen where the only thing to do is to fuck. And
Right.
so even more so get the batteries in the boombox, put on that music while the lights are off. Let's do some naughty things and oops, we made another baby. It's just
Hmm.
so funny to me because it's a reminder of your naughty 3 days in the dark or
Yep.
something.
I totally agree.
So I did a little experiment. I asked Google and I asked a couple of AIs as well on what the top songs are in terms of either connection to the sex work industry, that strippers was like a stripper favorite,
Hmm.
strip club DJs, anything that was like kind of sex work in that genre, especially with strip clubs because it's got the club aspect down pat,
Yeah.
right? Like we could range anywhere from like massage spa music to strip club music, like any given day, depending on the mood and the girl and the manager and whatever. But like I wanted to know what these had to say. And they had a few similarities, but also different answers.
Okay.
Watch what you trust with Google and AI people because they can vary. Okay, so this one was on every list. Pony by Genuine. There are just few songs that are as like panty wetting
Yeah.
than Pony by Genuine. That is just a winner. Slave for You by Britney Spears,
There you
which
go.
Riley is die hard. All of y'all, if you don't know, now
It's
you
on my
know, and you
list.
better remember. Hot in Here by Nelly.
Yeah, I like
I was
that.
like, okay, if we're going that like 2000s vibe of like the hip hop
Yeah.
world, absolutely. Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard. And I was
Mhm.
like, banger. It's a banger stripper song. You've got like crescendos, you've got musicians, you've got like high points and low points and stuff like on the pole and banger.
Why
High
in my
energy.
mind when I think of that song do I picture more male strippers dancing to it? I don't know why that's
Ooh, that
what's
would be
coming
a
to mind for
great
me.
Chippendale vibe. That would be a
Hmm.
great a fireman, just like
Yeah.
pouring some yeah. This one I'm not as familiar with. I've heard it before. Closer by Nine Inch Nails. I just don't listen to a lot of rock, but I get like the vibe
Yeah.
because if it's like, then she's
Yeah.
a vixen. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the vibe you want on a stage for sure, doing all
Yeah.
kinds of crazy tricks. It was released in 94 and was known specifically for its explicit song lyrics and tempo to match. So it was a mainstay in strip clubs.
Okay.
I was like, cool. In cities like Atlanta, they've turned DJs into tastemakers, which is kind of like where artists will experiment with a new hit. And if
Okay.
it takes in the strip club, then they've tasted it, like the taste test, and then they'll put it
Okay.
out into the nightclubs. And I
Neat.
thought, that's fucking cool.
Yep.
We're the focus circle. Like that's amazing. The focus group is the local strip club. I was like, that's amazing. Um, Certain artists and DJs, like Future's DJ, is a main collaborator of new artists and songs through the strip club circle there. and watching if new music is breaking through in strip clubs, which they will then haul to hip hop clubs and otherwise. And I was like, that's so neat. They're like, they don't normally become famous because of the strippers, because of their work with dancers and how they shape music trends. It indirectly and directly affects their playlist for the nightclubs.
Okay.
So neat, right?
Interesting.
I was like,
Yeah.
damn, so much influence. This is so
Mhm.
cool. So cool. Lots of nods, especially to Atlanta, to Las Vegas, places where there's a bit of a blurred line between nightclubs and strip clubs, and,
Right.
how that nightlife kind of creates their own local culture and then bleeds into things like hip hop and pop culture.
Right.
And some of those DJs end up with tracks or playlists that become not just mainstays on strip club dance floors, but also at parties throughout the summer, like a summer song.
Oh,
I was
cool.
like, that's so cool. It makes so much
Mhm.
sense. So much sense. Um, Apparently, Future song March Madness and Migos Bad and Bougie gained traction by exclusively being embraced in strip clubs, especially in Detroit and Atlanta. And an Epic Records executive was in a strip club one day when he first heard both of those songs.
Really?
Yeah, so it led to
Very
music
cool.
deals. And then, of course, a huge nod to Cardi B. You just like applause all around. She's so good and representative of stripper to star.
Yeah.
And so many of her songs are not just a nod to that life,
Hmm.
but like vulgar, sexy, erotic, trashy, like all of it all together. And if you know how to
Hmm.
channel that energy right on a stage with some lights and a good DJ, mm,
It makes
I'd
me
want her
think
in the
of
back room too.
Nicki Minaj's Anaconda. Such a good song. Like there's so many
Yes,
songs that are just
that's another one.
full of like
Um,
sexual tension. But I even think what songs were created about sex work. And the two that come
yes.
to my mind is The Police, Roxanne, Infamous,
Mm.
and who's the Chappelle Roan's Pink Pony Club, which is relevant right now, which is completely about dancing in the club. And I think it's really interesting. I love hearing, especially when I'm like singing in the car with my kids to Pink Pony Club, and I'm like, oh, if you only knew.
You want to go deeper? You want to go all the way? Let's go deep throat. Hey, horny people. Are you ready to get deep? We're going deeper. We're going all the way. And today, we are diving into something that I love to talk about. Post-nut clarity. PNC. Now, if you haven't heard of it, what the heck is it? It's the way the brain fog goes away after you bust a nut, after you orgasm. That clear-mindedness, the ability to focus, and everything is just crystal clear. Hence, post-nut clarity. So we're gonna start this deep throat off with a little video. Y'all know I love coming with stuff to react to. And this is a small clip from Diary of a CEO, which if you haven't checked out that podcast, it is one of the top in the world. You will learn so much, not to toot other people's horns, but go check out Steven because he brings some incredible guests with the world's best experts. So anyways, we're going to watch this little video that talks about post-nut clarity, and then we're going to dive in. What is it? How can we harness it? How can we make it work in our favor? And does it always require actually masturbating to completion, or fucking to completion, or visiting a massage parlor? We love those happy endings. Or seeing your favorite sex worker? The answer is yes and no to all of it. So let's watch the video and I'll catch you on the other side.
My early 20s was the first time I experienced post-nut clarity, and I think it was 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. Here's me talking about my masturbation. It was like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and there was this person that I was like vaguely interested in. I think I'm like 21 years old. I'm like, I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to get in my car at 3 a.m. and drive for 55 minutes. And I decide to masturbate instead. And immediately after I masturbated instead, it was like a completely different person inhabited my body. I was like, why? Within seconds, I was like, why the fuck were you going to get out of bed at 3 a.m. in the morning and drive for 55 minutes to meet someone you have really no interest in? And it was like that person could not recognize the person I was 10 minutes earlier. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day trying to explain this to a woman, and
You like that? You want more? Subscribe to the Patreon and I'll take you deep throat.
But it's catchy.
There are so many songs like that where you don't really know what it's
Mhm.
about until you're old enough to listen to the lyrics and you're like,
Right.
damn, I was
You
singing that
know,
when I was 12.
you know what's so funny? Not to make this about children, but my kids only recently found out they've always loved 50 Cent's Candy Shop. They've only recently understood it all, that they were almost mad. They were like, how can I understand this? Like, it's so clear as day, but to a child's mind, you're like, oh, it's a lollipop. I'm licking it.
Listen, I have this exact same story about my mother with that same song, where she got way too drunk at a hockey party once, danced on a pool table to that song,
I
ended
think
up on
it's
the
funny.
university website video. My brother was mortified. His friends were like, your mom is hot. And then, like,
Wow.
after it all went viral, we were like, you know what that song's about, don't you, Mom? And she's like, it's about candy. And we were like, no, you were a
No,
hooker on a
lady.
pool table.
Wow.
But talk about a great stripper song, because
Yeah.
that on a stage is brilliant too.
Mhm.
Absolutely brilliant. And like again, the vibe, if you're celebrating
Yeah.
a birthday, that's like the perfect starter.
Hmm.
Um, I've got another couple of good ones here. Motley Crue's Girls, Girls, Girls,
Yes.
of course. Kalani's Can I celebrates sex workers and features cam girls in her video, and proceeds have gone to supporting Black trans sex workers.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
absolutely love that. Yeah. And she hired actual sex workers as consultants for making the video because she wanted it to be done right.
Good
We love
job.
that. There's a British band here, apparently, Rock Bitch, who mostly does music about female lesbianism and always a nod to lesbian and bisexual sex workers.
Very
So
cool.
fun, right? Like the world
Yeah.
is fun. It's filled with so much cool information. So this morning, I also decided to hop on Twitter quickly and put up a
Hmm.
poll.
Okay.
So I was asking the boys, gents, quick poll. I need your answers. What's your favorite music when you're with a sex worker? And you can only put four options on Twitter. So I said, if it's not listed, put it in the comments below. So I selected as the four options, top 40, rock and roll, R&B, 90s R&B, obviously, or hip hop. And I've gotten about 50 some odd votes so far. Zero for hip hop.
Hmm.
Zero. Quite telling, right? Obviously, very different from a strip club vibe. Obviously, very
Yeah.
different from like a place like Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, top 40 has only 8% of the votes. Rock and roll got 25%, which I think is fair, and R&B took 67% of the poll.
I agree with them.
However, we have some very intelligent, wise, quick thinking clients. And one of them commented underneath something that is an absolute good point. Sex workers, if you're watching, take notes of this one, especially if you're either in control of the radio or work independent. Here's my key point, ladies. Matters for any sex worker. If you're using a stream service for your music, please pay to count. Please.
Great to pay
Nothing is
them.
more jarring than hearing commercials when you're in the middle of either mid-session or the happy moment.
So true.
It's so true. Back in my day, there was just the radio or a burnt CD if you dared. And those commercials, like, not only were there six of them in a row, but you got the jingles and like the weather and traffic report kinds of shit interrupting. It was just jarring. And then under that, there was a couple of added comments, and all of them said jazz. I loved that answer because that was my music of choice in my day. Call me biased. I'll take it guiltily. But we had the radio. We had a boombox little thing in our in each of our rooms, and it was jazz on the weekdays and Latin jazz on the weekends, and it just got a little spicy on Saturday. But it was such a vibe. It was such a
Yeah.
mood. It was always different. There's a lot of variety, so you weren't listening to the same
Mhm.
songs all the time, and it just had a sexiness. There's something about jazz that's so sultry.
Yeah.
I loved
Well,
it.
I think mood is the key word. And I think whether you're, setting up your playlist as a dancer or you're setting up the mood in your room as a massage girl, it's what makes you get into the zone. And yes, I think we should listen to what the clients say, less hip hop, more jazz. But
Yes.
whatever's going to make her feel sexy and get that vibe, I think is a win. And I mean, I can think the only CD from front to back, and this is going back a few decades, guys,
Mm.
112 Hot and Wet from song one all the way to the end is a complete massage parlor vibe. Put it on if you're not using Spotify yet. Test it out because it's a good one.
100% nod to that. I will say the same about a lot of like TLC,
Yeah.
SWV. I mean, TLC had Red Light District as a song. So like there's
Right.
just a lot, there's a lot there. I love how many sex worker songs there are. There's some
Mhm.
oldies. Reba McEntire has one of my favorite sex worker songs called Fancy, about a mom that puts her daughter into the business.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and when she's way too fucking young. And the advice is be nice to the gentleman and they take good care of you and
Wow.
send her off. But it's a great song and it has a good lesson at the end and blah, blah, blah. But like, it's been sung about just like watching old movies, just movies that throw back to way back when. You and
Yeah.
I have been watching Yellowstone and other stuff like that. And there are prostitutes in every single spin-off, every
Mhm.
single aspect of that show. Sex work pops up. It pops up
Yeah.
in Succession. It pops up in The Bear. Like it pops up everywhere. And now that we think about how attached the music is to it too, I wanted to dive in and ask some of the AI stuff if there are specific artists or bands or DJs that have happened to get famous off of it or more popularity or something because of sex workers. And I got some really cool answers on that too. It says there are certain artists and bands whose entire albums have become more popular because they made it in strip clubs or specifically while touring and attracting various sex workers. Sex workers are smart. We know where to go, right? If the Rolling Stones are in town, we're going to go there.
Right.
And then we're going to go to the nearby bar afterwards and work. There aren't necessarily breakout bands, but bands have had breakout songs because of strip clubs meshing with cultural hubs, especially through hip hop, rock and roll back in the 60s and 70s. And even into swinger societies that have their own musical tastes or cues, which
Mhm.
to me thinks just like the pineapple is like a
Right.
cue. Just like when you're dogging and you have those different cues in the parking lots of like what they're into and
Oh,
what they're up
right.
for. Swingers have their own language like that too. And so if again, silent cues using a song
Mhm.
instead of the awkward maybe conversation, super hot.
Mm.
Super hot. I was like, that's really cool. Because strip clubs attract various celebrities, especially in spots like Las Vegas, parts of Europe, and abroad. Artists often launch their new songs in there. If they pop off significantly in the club or in the strip club, they'll take it to the clubs even later that weekend. So you
Mm.
could test your song on like a Thursday and then launch it
Yeah.
on a Saturday night.
Right.
They're obviously Epic Records executives noted that strip club DJs have been instrumental sometimes in breaking artists out of areas like Atlanta or Vegas. If they're just
Mm.
famous there, they can use those things to kind of expand it. And I'm positive social media has a huge impact on that nowadays,
Mhm. For sure.
even more so, because you can break out on your own on Twitter nowadays, let alone if someone's doing stuff like that as well, right? I
Mhm.
love that the executives have gotten involved in it too. And then artists, many artists, especially female artists at one point, have done things like waitressing or stripping. Certain artists like to boast about it or build their platform off of that, while other artists like Madonna often take a nod to strippers. And in bracket it says, or sex workers. Because of certain celebrities' strip club background, it can shape their image, give them a platform, or make their songs more friendly to strippers or sex workers, and sex workers assuming they are sex worker friendly.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool because there's definitely a boost that they get
Mhm.
from us. And then do they know, like the initial tweet was, do they know that they've influenced our money goals? We bought that house because of them, or we
Mhm.
had that orgasm with that client that ended up being the sugar daddy. Like
Yeah.
there's so many like milestones and moments. I know celebrities get lots of letters, but I wonder if they've ever gotten a letter like a fan mail like that. I was like, because of your blah 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 album, I was rocking this in this club on the
Mhm.
stage and ended up putting my kid through school. Thanks. Like stuff like that. I don't know if people
Yeah.
are that open, but that would be fucking cool. I think it was super
I think
cool.
they know. I think they know. I mean, music influences everything from sex work clearly to fashion to like everything is it's the culture really. So
Yeah.
I think they must know what's happening.
I think it's so neat. I think it's so
Mhm.
cool. So for all the girls out there, think about your
Mhm.
playlist. Think about what it can add to it. There's a
Yeah.
scene in 50 Shades of Grey where he coordinates the movements to the music. Now he
Mm.
chooses an orchestra piece, but just in general, like the crescendo, the build up, the relaxing at the end, the start kind of as the introduction. Like think
Mhm.
about curating your ultimate playlist. Gentlemen, I'd say don't be shy to put in a request.
Mhm.
And she might even enjoy the change up or the mix up. If it's something that you're really rocking to that makes
Yeah.
you hard and rocking her, then fuck, that's a win.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Right. And shout out to all the artists betting on sex workers to make or break their careers. That's awesome. I love the responsibility and influence we have. That's
Mhm.
super sexy to me.
Yeah. It's a
I
fun
love it.
one.
Well, thanks guys for tuning in on this one. If you have requests, if you're a Muse client, definitely send us your playlist requests. Any DJs watching, curate something for us for Muse that we could use over there
Yeah.
too. That would be super fun
I
and
like it.
sexy. Right?
Yeah.
Drop it down in the comments or send us an email. Make sure you're subscribed to YouTube and Patreon, of course. Follow us on all social media to see what we're up to, including joining polls, apparently, when we're talking about music.
Yeah.
Catch all the fun, and we'll see you next time on Muse on the Mic, guys. Bye.
Hey, guys.